Okay, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has warned residents in 19 states, including the southeast and coastal areas, of impending heat stress. The states mostly affected are Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Oyo, Kogi, Nasarawa, Benue, Enugu, Anambra, Abia, Ebonyi, Cross River, and the FCT. Other vulnerable regions are the southeast coastal areas, Taraba, Adamawa, Plateau, Kaduna, Zamfara, and Sokoto. The agency warned of potential health risk, which includes fatigue, irritability, reduced focus, impaired motor skills, and decreased productivity. It also urged residents in affected regions to take safety precautions by using fans, air conditioners, or shaded spaces to stay cool, and dress light by wearing breathable clothing. Now, joining us in the studio is a public health consultant, Tuyi. You have to help me out with your surname.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Right. I wonder why this warning is coming now. I was telling my colleague earlier on that the heat wave has been on for weeks. Why are they pointing it out now?
Well, because it's better to point it out now than not talking about it at all.
Okay.
Because if you observe, we have had consistent rise in temperature, more especially above 39 in the southern part of Nigeria and above 42 Celsius in the northern part of Nigeria. So what this gives is that you have a consistent heat that is sustained for a period of time, with consequences on your physical body, consequences on your economy and productivity, as rightly outlined. And of course, it becomes more concerning in this area where fasting is ongoing. You have electric supply, and then, we've lost a lot of what we call green spaces to human activities.
Exactly.
And of course, now even our roads are being made with pavement, which actually worsen the heat. The Anthropocene, the human activities that can lead to rise in temperature, is on the increase. So these are factors that actually make us, we must talk about it and then alert people about the consequences. If you look at the vulnerable groups, essentially, of course, if you're a city dweller, you are likely going to have more of the challenges of the heat, because a lot of activities that can raise the temperature is higher in the city compared to the rural area. But even within the cities, the urban poor are most affected because they are the ones that are constrained in trying to respond to the effect of heat in terms of whether clothing, housing, affordability of electricity and things to cool themselves, even water. So then extreme of ages, young people, old people, because temperature control at the extreme of ages is challenged. So you have to really do a lot to control your temperature because of aging. Pregnant women, people with hypertension, people with diabetes, people with chronic illness, pulmonary diseases are actually more, prone to the effect of this heat stroke. And we will explain sincerely, because in reality, if someone is hypertensive, for instance, he needs to take some medications. These medications that could be diuretic, that will make you wee a lot. Now the heat is doing its own. You are also weeing. It further complicates the control of the hypertension, and in fact, they can be exposed to the deleterious effect of that heat. So if it's diabetes, control of sugar becomes challenged. If you use insulin, it also becomes challenged. So it becomes important for people with chronic illnesses to note these changes that will happen because of heat stroke. So now, what are the effects of these heat waves? We can have what we call heat exhaustion. You get tired easily. When you find that you are getting unnecessarily tired during the day, you're feeling sleepy, watch out, and your mouth is just dry, watch out, you need to drink water. So that is, then you can have heat stroke. It's a medical emergency because actually convulsions, loss of consciousness, rapid loss of electrolytes and urea can happen. Then you can have dehydration, because what happens is that when you sweat, the pores opens, you lose electrolytes, here and there, and then before you know it, you've lost critical distance. For pregnant women, because it's more concerning, because it can lead to what we call preterm labor. It can cause a lot of issues, raise the blood pressure, and cause convulsion in pregnancy. So if you're asthmatic, if you have challenges with your respiratory system, then you have to watch out, because this can worsen, the heat stroke can worsen the respiratory illnesses, especially with people with chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases and asthma. So it's a whole lot of garments, and it becomes important for people to be educated and know that when they suffer unnecessary fatigue during this period, it's not because of enemy. Watch out, you need to drink water.
That's right.
You need to drink water.
So if you look at what WHO says, they link extreme heat to 26% spikes of cardiovascular deaths, and Nigeria has only 3.5 hospital beds per 10,000 people, according to them. So with clinics already battling malaria, cholera, different ailments, how do you think the clinic can help in addressing this heat issue without collapsing the health system itself?
I think the first thing is for everybody to talk. You are talking about, kudos to TVC. You are talking about it. More people should talk about it, because the prevention is the best treatment, because you cannot ask us to come and cope with issues associated with extreme heat. So what we should do, first and foremost, we're talking about it. Secondly, individual must take up the challenge of having water to drink and holding water, and understanding that there are what we call shade spaces, at the extreme heat, at high 12, when the heat is so much, you don't hang around outside. You look for shades, you look for places to stay that can actually reduce your distance. So first of all, your activity should be within yourself, and then not just TVC, even Nigeria Medical Association, all of us should be talking and educating people about the bad effect of these heat waves and how to recognize it. Now, when it comes to if you have critical public emergencies in this regard, you know that we are stressed already. We don't have sufficient workers. The hospital's beds are limited. Even now, the cost of medication is just extremely high. We saw what NAFDAC is doing recently, closing up markets, selling drugs, fake drugs, and all that. You know what that has done to us? As good as the work is, it has raised the cost of medication. And that's concerning for somebody like me, because at the end of the day, if the cost goes up, who bears the bonds?
Why is it raising cost of medication? Is it that people have been consuming fake products over the years?
People, because when the markets are not open, then what happens is that the cost of those things go up. So we don't want to look at a scenario where we have to get to the hospital and start admitting people with heat waves. So what government can actually do at a level is to create spaces, water fountains, water sprouts, and growing up, even in my villages, then we can easily, I'm talking about early 70s, you can easily get water from the tap and drink.
Yes.
So, or even get water and put on your head when you feel so much heat.
And that's a challenge it's a challenge in Nigeria. In fact, it's a challenge in Lagos, where water supply is not as seamless as it used to be. Lagos used to have a lot of water. I would like you to please tell us please stress how really important it is for us to have water handy, and what's the quantity you will advise we consume a day.
Now, the beauty about the body is that the body sends, there are clear warning signals when you are dehydrated, when you feel fatigued, when your lips are dry, so those ones are clearly, The water requirement for you, of course, we tend to ask you to drink about, 3 liters every day, but, if you are an outdoor worker, construction works, working the farm, you have to do, so a lot of people have to do hawking, and bus stop work. So in reality, they have to drink more water. So the trick is actually to respond to your body. If you cannot have access to that quantity of water, to respond to your body and drink and use those shades. So let the bottled water be handy. Just have it handy and then be able to drink it. Of course, we know that even the cost of water is actually good. It's not even available. But what we can also do is to look at the schools. The water supply in the school should be such that they can drink, they can pour on their head, or they can use to wash their faces and cool the body. So schools becomes a place of focus. Then public space like the market, public space like the garages, where a lot of people mingle and activities happen. You have to actually provide a source of shades and water for people to deal with extreme heat. Of course, at those locations, we can improve education at that level that, you know, are you feeling fatigued, feel tired, you feel dry, please ensure that you drink water. Then if you're having special illnesses like the risk we've mentioned, are you hypertensive, are you diabetic, so are you have respiratory illnesses, so it becomes important for you to ensure that at this point in time, you take precautions, you know, to reduce exposure to heat stroke or heat wave. And of course, dressing is part and parcel of it. So,
I mean, when we talk about dressing, I just remember, hey, we have to wear suits.
But thankfully, you're right.
You're in a good environment.
So what do we now say about, okay, for us, we're able to be here, I mean, maybe for the time being, while you're on duty, by the time you go home, you see that it's a very, you know, crazy, it's very crazy out there, especially from 12 to 3 p.m. where the sun is at its peak. But I try to look at the figures. The World Bank estimates heat stress would cost Nigeria 2.8% of GDP by 2050. So you talk about street vendors and Okada riders, they face income loss during this peak heat. So how do you think policymakers should, you know, address this issue, especially for those who are not able to stay indoors, the informal sector to be precise?
Now, well, you know, I can tell you, less than 20 years ago, I used to work in Badagry General Hospital. And one of those days, I have to drive all the way from Badagry General Hospital to see my mom somewhere in one of the villages near Ekpe. And I can remember the greenery, you know, driving through the coast of Lagos. A lot of greenery down to Ekpe, you know, especially when you pass Mobile now, if you're familiar with the road, it's always grass, bush. But now, human activities has really taken off all those things.
Real estate.
So real estate and whatever, so I'm feeling these factors will increase the temperature, you know, and of course, the proneness to heat wave. So at the policy level, first of all, we have to actually look at how to deal with our activities. You are cutting trees, you are not planting. Of course, you are expect heat waves. So secondly, strategically, you look at the vulnerable groups. Here we have extreme ages, you know, young and old. What do you do to the young? Where do you find the young one, especially in schools? You have to create water sprouts. Those people that have to ride Okada, create spaces. The bus stop should be a space where you can sit and take a cool from the heat before you continue your walk, okay? Create those spaces in the market, in the bus stop where people can sit down. Improve your gardens, you know, park and gardens in Lagos should be a place that people can have access to and sit under trees while they're waiting to cool down, and then have access to water source there. The water source, even if it's not even a drinking water, at least the water that can pour on your head, that can cool you down a bit, okay? So those policy change, of course, the bigger thing is that, you know, the cost of energy is up the roof now. How do you now get energy to get fan to cool yourself? Maybe you have to resort to those rechargeable and make it cheaper where you can, you know, blow yourself easily. But the key thing is that individually, you must understand your exposure. I will even suggest that people that are hypertensive and have to use diuretics, those ones that make you weak, during this peak time, avoid using those drugs. I mean, maybe you have to delay it to maybe later in the evening.
What if it's sacrosanct for you to take the drug?
Yeah, you have to get water along because in reality, there are hemodynamics. What I mean is that the way the blood system runs when heat stroke is involved, when heat is involved, the pulse opens, the vasodilation, what I mean to call the arteries relaxes, the pulse opens, you lose water, you lose everything, and then your blood pressure becomes erratic. Okay, so you have to think about that. If you're a pregnant person, I mean, this is not the time to start hustling in the market. I mean, just give that short period and take water along. So more importantly, we should have a line where we can call and be able to, I suggest that not just central government, even individual hospital NGOs should be able to create lines where people can call and explain when I'm having heat challenges, can you respond to me? Unfortunately, in Lagos, we've seen the absence of public ambulances. You know, years back, we used to see, by the time you're driving around Lagos, you are seeing ambulances at every corner. But now they're not available for whatever reason. So we need to create that kind of public response that can help us, you know, tackle a public challenge, a public issues like this. We just got to keep talking about it at our level.
Most definitely.
It is obvious that public education is what we need for a period like this. Yes, you've mentioned the markets, the this, the that, the that. What group would you advise to take the bull by the horn to take care of this public education that is so seriously needed for this period?
You and I am like you as you're sitting down here, you are known, you're an opinion molder, you're talking. Yes, first and foremost, at our level, the media should keep talking about it at different fora. Secondly, what I find very, very instructive in dispensing public health, critical public health messages are the CDAs, you know, the market associations, the Road Transport Workers Association, okay? And then I keep repeating this, I've been repeating this. Ibrahim, I'm sure you remember, I've been saying this for years and years. We have public spaces. What I mean by public spaces, you are driving all over Nigeria, maybe from Port Harcourt to Kano, or you are seeing billboards. All these billboards are advertising their sugars and alcohol. Now, why are these billboards not being used to push public, especially at this time? Guys, there is heat waves. Right. These are a few things you do. This will just flash. Right. As we're driving along, people imbibe those messages. Oh, where's my water? But we're not using this space. I've spoken about it over and over. I've tried to design even a prototype for a state or even a Nigeria Center for Disease Control, which we're trying to figure what to do. How do we use our public space effectively to communicate health information? So it becomes important that when you look at the CDAs at local level, when you look at market associations, when you look at the Road Transport Association, we also, apart from the media, should be able to use our public space to communicate critical health decision and information. So, I mean, okay, good enough, or maybe not good, so good enough. Trump said, you guys are not going to get any free money again. So, innovate, think around what you can do. It's not just about looking, your help will not come from abroad all the time. It can only come from above.
That's right.
Yes, not abroad.
Not abroad, yes. So, in reality, these are the things you look at your low-hanging fruits. What are the quick wins? Those things are there. I know that, I agree that those people running the public billboards want to make money. But it's also important that when your population is healthy, you make more money.
Yes.
So just flash.
Yeah.
And I think companies that own those billboards should see that as a public
CSR.
It's a CSR that they should do. I mean, if you have 10 billboard sites, why not dedicate 2 or 3 to stuff like this?
Just a flash as we're going.
That's right.
Yes.
So if you go up north, now we're still facing food crisis. Looks like food prices is actually coming down, but we still have food security issues. If you go up north, it's usually hot, but now that we're talking about heat waves, 19 states are at risk. How do you think this might impact the agricultural produce at the end of the day? Because we're talking about irrigation and all of that. How can we circumvent or mitigate against this impact which might affect us?
Our increase has gone as far as, the last estimate, 10-year, 2000 to 2016, more than 150 million people exposed to heat waves, and it's increasing. Now, you know that critically, like I mentioned, the farmers are outside workers. You can't sit in the office and be a farmer. You have to be on the field. So, and then you know that normally our food security will be challenged if heat waves keep rising. Okay, and so many factors affecting our food supply situation. Of course, insecurity is critically one of them. And then now you are talking about environmental challenges. Of course, the soil are losing the critical nutrients because of these same human activities, which some people don't want to believe again, that there's any human activity that's global warming. How can you, in this space now, let's miniaturize ourselves that we're like, small ants. And some people want some set of ants are cooking there, burning there. Somebody says that it's not affecting all of us.
That's right.
When you see the argument, you wonder, where is it coming from? So, first and foremost, the great polluters of the world, you know them. China, America, European Union. These are the great polluters of the world. Because they are standing at that corner of the earth and they're polluting, it's messing us up here also. And we're having those heat waves. And nobody is paying at that corner to say that, listen, I'm causing problem for you. So, and they come and rationalize it. So for us at this point, what we need to do is that the people, we have to really move away from excess human being on the field. You know, we have to mechanize the farming in such a way that we don't need such large number of people to be on the field to farm, and you know, so because we need.
Are you calling for some people to lose their job?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, you see, in the food value chains, there are a lot of work you can do. You don't have to be on the field.
On the field, yeah.
Sorting, cleaning, you know, arranging, packing. There's a lot of things. It's just a rethink of how we do those things. But because it may not be easy for us to get to a point where we can increase the yield of our soil suddenly. It may not get to a point where suddenly all the Lakurawa and all these guys disappear from the field. But now we have to talk about food security. And the best way to reduce that in terms of heat wave is to actually, you know, minimal number of people at the peak period of the heat, giving them water, creating water sprouts in the farm, and ensuring that they have those, what we call heat breaks. You know, heat breaks, okay? This time is very tough. Heat breaks, move to this time. Even I can tell you, even sometimes my work are delayed till the night. I just get tired during the day. Say, listen, let me just go and sleep. When it's night, I'll do my work. When the weather is cool, when the noise is less. So, but you cannot do that for farmers. Yeah. So, in reality, it has to still be the government trying to get this thing sorted out through that kind of thinking.
That's right. I'm going to ask you to give the Lagos State government number 1 and then the federal government number 2. Give them a scorecard. Let's see. Concerning response to things like this.
I tell you what, Lagos, I don't usually compare Lagos with other states in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I've told them every time, your standard is not Nigeria, okay? But there's an issue that has to do with laid back. If I know that I'm the one, you know, running first, you know, you tend to be laid back. Yeah. I want to lower your standard. What I'm going to tell Lagos State, in everything, you are lowering your standard. Don't think that you are. I don't want to mention any state so that I don't get roasted here. You know, you started very well. You are supposed to be the innovation to drive Nigeria. Okay, and you look at Nigeria, we think that the problem is so difficult. I don't ever see any difficulty. Yeah. All you need to do is actually create 6 growth centers all over Nigeria. In Lagos, that spread to Ibadan, to Ogun State, a Port Harcourt that spread to rivers and come back across there. Somewhere in Kaduna that spread, somewhere in Kano that spread, somewhere in, you know, 5 ways Sokoto that spread. Those growth centers, if I were to be government, I would specifically focus on this growth center and give incentive for this growth center to thrive and create economies that can spread to other parts of Nigeria. What are these basic things that you have to do now? Of course, energy. Energy and infrastructure.
Yeah.
Once you put those energy and infrastructure in place, a lot of things happen. For me, I would even love to carry my bags and say, listen, for the rest of my days, I'm tired of Lagos. I want to go and stay in Kano for this number of years, you know, because I know that in Kano, there's light. Yeah. In Kano, there's infrastructure. In Kano, you know, there's a space for me to function properly.
That's right.
You know, so I'll tell Lagos State that don't lower
your standard.
Your standard, okay? Even federal government is looking up to Lagos State. You know, Lagos State is one of the greatest wins we have in the country. You don't behave like those states that want to close themselves down, cause problem everywhere. Overweighting now.
And to add to that, Lagos economy now soars to $259 billion.
Congratulations. Let's see it on the people. Let's see it on the people. It puts it in health, puts it in housing, puts it in infrastructure. Let's see it on the people. You know, you see, me, of course, Ibrahim, you cannot tell the story of Lagos to me. I know the role I'm playing in the riverine community of Lagos State, touching health, touching climate change issues, dealing with water hyacinth, and the project has been run for like 6 months, and we knew what is possible. But the challenge is that, does government understand?
Well, I think you are in a better position to answer that question.
And it's one of the reasons why we have you here.
And that's why we have you here too.
We're talking about it because in reality, Lagos could be a paradise.
Yes.
If you look at it, it's not really common to see a country that with this, you know, expanse of opportunities, you know, from Farasime down to Orimedu. You know, that stretch of water and those things.
Oh, Doctor,
the key thing is this, because it's lowering
its
standard.
Message passed.
We created so many things for that state to copy. The tax system, the rail system, the transport system,
virtually all facets of development. Right.
We've been talking to Dr. Tuyi Mebawondu.
I know.
Please help me out.
I will help you.
Mebawondu.
If the Swahili now, you know how to pronounce. I will help you out. Help yourself.
Okay. Dr. Tuyi is a public health consultant, and we want to thank you so much. You make the discussion really nice, flows very well, and I really had a good time talking to you. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, bro.
All right, ensuring sustainable and secure future for Nigeria's retirees is next on TVC Breakfast Show. Stay with us.